Let's take a look at the role of the South African Police Services. We're now joined by a committee member, DA member as well, Glynnis Breytenbach, who was part of the proceedings for the past 2 days that we saw. Glynnis, thank you very much for your patience with us this afternoon. Perhaps let's start with taking a look at this interaction between yourself and the Lieutenant General of the South African Police Services, because they claim they were not able to get information from G4S.
You're a Lieutenant General, did you say?
Yes, Chairperson.
That's quite a rank. Tell me, how does a Lieutenant General in the South African Police Force struggle to get anything from anyone in this country? Please explain that.
Chairperson, with the challenges we have, that's why we did get Section 205, because there are processes to follow. We did get Section 205 against G4S on the documentation we want. And further on that, then we started communicating through GIGS and GCS itself. Thanks, Chairperson.
You needed to get a Section 205 subpoena in order to get information from G4S. Is that what you're telling us?
Glynnis, why were you surprised that a Lieutenant General was not able to exercise their powers? And maybe you can help us understand in terms of that rank, just how important it is, and what's a Section 205?
So a Lieutenant General in the South African Police is one rank higher than a Major General, and so she's a full General. A Major General is a half General. A General in the South African Police is a very, very high rank. It's a very serious rank. It's one of the highest ranking officers in South Africa. Very, very few people attain the rank of Lieutenant General. You have so much authority, so much clout, that it's inconceivable that if you use it correctly, not abuse it, but use it correctly, it's inconceivable that unless somebody has got something to hide, they will not cooperate with somebody with a rank like that. If you approach the matter in a proper fashion and you exercise your authority that's vested in you, it's almost unthinkable that you will have any difficulty. And if you need to get a Section 205 subpoena, it would be a mere formality, a way of you get Section 205s when people have to disclose private information. So if a prosecutor wants cell phone records of an individual in a criminal investigation, you get a Section 205 subpoena which you serve on the cell phone company, and they then disclose their client's records. Otherwise, their contractual relationship with their client prevents them from doing so.
Let's take a look at
and G4S does not have that luxury. G4S is contracted to the Department of Correctional Services. All they have to do is phone up the Commissioner and say, can we give this information or not? And he will definitely say yes. So the fact that they needed 205s just shows more obfuscation from G4S. But the police are so inept. It's so frustrating to think that a person who has attained the rank of Lieutenant General cannot exercise the authority vested in her.
Let's take a look at this interaction between the Police Minister, Breytenbach, when you asked why a private jet was used to ferry the accused back to South Africa.
Why did you need to charter a private jet?
Chairperson, simply put, it was part of negotiations with the officials on the other side that it would be their pleasure if it's done the way that it was done. So we had to respect those negotiations.
So the Tanzanians wanted to fly to South Africa in a private jet. Is that what you're saying? It's a yes or no answer.
No, I'm not going to answer that way. No, not at all.
Then don't answer.
You can tell others to answer yes or no.
No, don't answer.
Absolutely not in court.
It's fine.
Are you any wiser?
The General, of course, is also obfuscating. It's the only thing he knows how to do with reasonable success. For the rest, he's really utterly useless as the Minister of Police. So he was obfuscating. They chartered a private jet to fly to Tanzania in order to bring these two fugitives from justice, this serial murderer and rapist and his accomplice. In a private jet, they came back to South Africa. It's a slap in the face of every single South African. It's a slap in the face of the rape survivors. It's an absolute disgrace. It's a complete waste of taxpayers' money. There's no reason on this earth why they needed a private jet. Fugitives have been transported on commercial airlines for as long as planes have been flying. There's absolutely no excuse for chartering a private jet. And if the Tanzanians were a little bit coy about using a commercial airline, well, too bad. They wanted to deport him. He was there illegally. It's not like they were doing us any favors.
So what do you perceive as behind that rather curious decision to then charter them in a private plane?
It's the hubris that high-ranking officials in government have. They don't want to fly a commercial. They want to fly in a private jet. They want to look important. They want to land on that runway and look great in a private jet and come back in comfort. Hubris.
Glynnis, having listened to all the concerned parties, G4S, Correctional Services, Justice Department, the South African Police Services, what is your overall takeaway from this process?
Well, the only takeaway there can be, and I'm sure it's a takeaway of every sensible South African, is that every single department, with the possible exception of the Judicial Inspectorate and DCS to a smaller degree, every other party involved here has dropped the ball. Totally. G4S has one job. They're paid 40 million plus a month to look after, incarcerate and keep in custody 2,900 odd inmates. They failed to do that. Not once, not twice. There have been many escapes from their prison. So they failed to do their job. The police failed to investigate when they should have. Two police members did their job. A brigadier who was there yesterday and a constable who is still in the Free State. The only two who were awake, who stopped this woman from claiming bodies and cremating that corpse. Only two of them did their jobs. The rest of them sat on their hands, waiting for better days. Nothing was done. Every bit of investigation that's been done, every little bit of movement has been in the last 2 weeks. If it hadn't been for Ground Up, if Ground Up hadn't broken the story, we would all still be sitting here, none the wiser that Thabo Bester was living in Hyde Park and living the royal life. They dropped the ball.
The President has since said that heads will roll. What does that look like to you, at least?
The President has often said heads will roll and then nothing at all ever rolls. The President, no doubt, was shocked because he's always shocked. The Minister of Justice was shocked. Seems to be an ANC affliction. And heads will not roll. If heads were to roll, the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Police should have been fired already.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Glynnis Breytenbach, former prosecutor for the National Prosecuting Authority of South Africa and a member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.